So thank you for the kind introduction. Today I'm going to talk about intersectionality and less about my research. So I was born in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. My country is probably the richest country in the world in terms of natural resources. However, my country's history and current political situation has been shaped by the transatlantic slave trade and colonization. I cannot estimate, or you cannot quantify, the trauma and the loss that colonization has imposed on people like me, Congolese people like me and my family. I spent most of my formative years living in an environment of sociopolitical instability and violence. However, there is a duality in the way Congolese people navigate life. I was born in a middle-class family. And because of that, I had the privilege of receiving an excellent formal education. However, Congo, like many communities and societies in this world, including the United States, favors men and expects women to fulfill very specific gender roles. So I was told and shown that my dreams were somewhat unacceptable. However, because of my socioeconomic status, and also because my family was willing to make a lot of sacrifices, I was able to come to the United States and continue my studies. I love academia, and academia has given me a lot, but academia has been a violent and traumatic place for me. And this is not unique to me. This is the experience of many Black women. And unfortunately, this is not unique to higher ed. The healthcare system. I have had to deal with the healthcare system, especially when it comes to my reproductive health. And in this country, the biggest health issue for Black women is the system. So as you can see, I exist at the intersection of multiple marginalized identities. I'm woman, I'm Black, I'm immigrant. And all these identities are shaped by systems like anti-Black racism that determine what rights and resources I have access to. And this is where I talk about intersectionality. As a theory, intersectionality draws attention to how systems of oppression like systemic racism, sexism, and classism interlock, are inseparable, and mutually constituted, how they work together. But as a practice, the goal of intersectionality is to transform the systems that we all live in. And intersectionality as a theory centers the margins. And because it comes from a Black feminist thought, intersectionality centers Black women. And I'm going to introduce you to two terms that you may not have heard before: misogynoir, which is the specific oppression of Black women, and women who read as Black, and transmisogynoir, which is, transmisogynoir, which is the oppression of trans women and trans feminine people. And as you can see here, a lot of systems of oppression come together when it comes to Black cis and trans women and feminine people. So let's talk about intersectionality and health. Let's talk about something very relevant: reproductive health. Black women in this country have the highest maternal mortality rate than any other racial gender group in this country. And Black babies, infant mortality for Black children is the highest than any other racial and gender group in this country. And money is not protective for Black women. A study in California showed that infant mortality for the richest Black women, infant mortality was much higher than the poorest white women. And in fact, medicine and biomedical research have played an active role in maintaining and sustaining misogynoir and transmisogynoir. The father of modern gynecology, Marion Sims, was known to operate on non-consenting enslaved Black women because he believed, without anesthesia, because he believed that Black people and Black women did not feel pain. And this belief is still maintained until today. And then you have Henrietta Lacks, her immortal cells. Without her, biomedical research would not be what it is today. Unfortunately, our cells were taken without her consent. And this involvement also extends to representation. Black women make up 7% of the United States, and only 1% of all doctoral degree holders in STEM are Black women. And only 3% of physicians are Black women. So the situation is dire. What should we do? And this makes me answer this question. What does it matter for sciences and policy? First, because it is the right thing to do. Health is a human right. Health inequities cannot be eliminated if we are not willing to implement systemic and intersectional changes. And secondly, because of scientific innovation. Time and time again, evidence shows that scientific innovation is driven by diversity. However, scientific innovation is currently being hindered by the refusal to dismantle oppressive systems and celebrate intersecting identities. And then third, because we are all connected. Martin Luther King says it, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And the COVID pandemic showed us that. So if we want to have a good health for all Americans, we have to start taking intersectionality seriously. And I will leave you with this quote by the Combahee River Collective, which was really set the tone for what intersectionality is right now. If Black women were free, it will mean that everyone else would have to be free, since our freedom will necessitate the destruction of all systems of oppression. Thank you.